All right, it's time for summarizing what we have learned about services. What are service materials? As opposed to physical goods, services are rendered for your company by a vendor. And examples of services are electric services, heating services, plumbing services, or baking services, any kind of service that's rendered for your company by a vendor, as opposed to physical delivery of goods. And those are created in the system as service materials. And that's not done in MM01, it's done in a different transaction called service master. Now, services have to be accepted in the service entry sheet. Well, the difference is physical goods can be stocked and anything that's paid for can be shown as stock. But services cannot be shown for. So somebody in the right authority, like a supervisor or a manager, has to accept that service entry sheet, which ensures that there is some level of oversight in terms of what we are paying for as a service. So every service entry sheet has to be accepted. For physical goods like raw materials or non-stock materials, prices are maintained in the purchase info record. But for services, prices are maintained in three possible combinations, not in the purchase info record, but using these transactions. And we have seen three major differences in this picture of how you procure standard materials versus services. The first difference is that the item category has to be D for services, and you almost always need a cost center or any kind of cost element to capture the cost. And you don't do a MyGo for service, instead you do a service entry sheet. And MyGo is automatically done behind the scenes for you. And somebody always has to accept a service entry sheet. But that's not the case in MyGo. Nobody needs to accept it. You just receive the goods against a PO. The third major difference is during this invoice creation, a service-based invoice is different from a standard physical goods-based invoice. And there is a check mark here at the line item level that makes that line item in a PO relevant for service-based invoice. And when you check it on, all the services that have been entered here ad hoc, like basic service, advanced service, labor charges, this and that, will be defaulted here. And the person in the accounting department paying for the services would understand what services were being performed at what price. If that is not checked on, this does not show the breakup. It just shows one line item, the only line item that was created in the purchase order.